like to welcome Jeremy Porter to the garage. Jeremy Porter and the Tucos joining us, hanging out here in the garage. Jeremy, welcome. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's great to be here. I appreciate all the support on the show.
We appreciate you coming on.
Love your music.
Thanks,
Love your music. You're out of Detroit, Jeremy, is that correct?
Yeah, basically the suburbs, but we're basically a Detroit band. Yep.
Okay.
And you guys are where? Indiana?
Yeah, southern part of Indiana.
Yeah.
Halfway between Louisville and Indy.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
we get down that way sometimes. Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We'd love to see you. Yeah, there's a couple great bars in Louisville that are close enough to go to. One called Headliners.
Yeah, we've always struggled in Louisville. I mean, we've probably played there 4 or 5 times, and
really,
Lexington's one of our best cities, but Louisville's just, it's been really tough for us for some reason. Yeah, we played Mag Bar a couple times. Highland Tap Room was great.
Yep.
Old place called Rudyard Kipling.
Yep.
Yeah, that was rough, but yeah, we played probably 5-6 times in Louisville.
Well, you'll have to let us know, because we'll definitely turn out. Definitely.
Oh, right on. Yeah.
Well, Jeremy, tell us a little bit of your background. Growing up in Michigan, were you exposed to a lot of great bands, that kind of stuff?
Sure, yeah. Well, I was born and raised in northern Michigan, which is fairly rural. And I lived the first probably 13, 14 years of my life in a little town called Alpena, which is a very small city. And then around the age of 13, 14, we moved to Marquette, which is in the Upper Peninsula, Michigan, which to most people is basically Alaska. And but it is a college town, and there was a music scene there. Compared to Alpena, it was practically New York City. I mean, I remember one day just walking down the street with my buddies, and there was a band in a bar playing I Can't Explain by The Who.
Oh.
And that just blew my mind. I'm like, I didn't even know anyone else even knew what that song was, But still, is town of 30,000 people, not a big town by population standards, but that's where I kind of transitioned from metal to punk rock. That's where I met people who love The Who, and then they turned me on to the Clash and the Ramones and the Dead Kennedys, and pretty soon the Replacements and Husker Du and all that kind of stuff. So I lived there through high school and went to 1 year of college there, and then I moved down to the Detroit area and started forming bands and kind of did that switch from playing mostly covers to doing all originals. Started writing songs. Went through about 25 years of sort of playing in bar bands and power pop bands and pop punk bands and stuff. Then formed the Tucos in 2010, and that was I guess about 12 years ago. And I don't know, we're coming up on about 500 shows in and 4 records and all kinds of stuff. So
that's good.
And you've toured the globe too. I mean, you've toured Europe.
Well, we did England. Yeah, we did the UK. We did England and Wales, and we've done Eastern Canada a few times, and we've been most places east of the Rockies. Yep. So we get out quite a bit. We don't play locally a whole lot. We play Detroit maybe 2-3 times a year. We do the occasional festival here where we open for a national that's coming through, or if we got some buddies from out of town coming through and they need a local, sometimes we'll help them out. But we're mostly a road band. Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, you can tell though in how together your music is. I mean, you really can. You can tell. So you've road tested a lot of the songs, in my opinion. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Do you debut new material when you're out?
We do, but it seems to be less and less as the years go by. We, they always say, like, you've got your whole life to write your first record, and then you've got a year and a half to write your second record. But, early on, like when we did the first record, yeah, we had played all that stuff out. But this last record we did, that Candy Coated Cannonball, came out in January of 21. There were a couple songs on there that we had never played live, and that seems to be a little more the trend more recently, where some of this stuff is getting some stage time more so than others. So it's kind of evolving a bit in that way, I guess. And of course,
you
there's
guys
been
been-
a lot less stage time to be had in the last couple of years too.
Right, exactly. That's what I was getting ready to
That's a
ask.
factor. Yeah. But it's always nice whenever you can get something on the stage and get, break it in front of people. It makes the song better in feel and everything else, arrangement, what works, what doesn't work, all that stuff. So I always like to do that.
Craig's waiting for me to talk. Craig, I'm giving you a chance to talk.
Oh, finally. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I know on the Candy Coated Cannonball, that track 1, Put You on Hold. That's a catchy song, man. That brought me to the whole album.
Thanks, man. I don't know if that's really indicative of our style, but it's to me, it just kind of feels very Detroit, very garagey, I wasn't sure if I should show it to the band, but the boys were looking to spread our wings a bit and start trying some new things. So I thought, why the hell not, and yeah, people do seem to like that one. And, we made a fun video for it and yeah, it's had some legs. It's been cool.
And then is Dead Ringer on that one too?
Yeah, that would be probably the second song I think on that record. Yeah.
That's the first one we played on the show. And that's the one that introduced us to you. So I really
got the big hook, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have other stuff like Hey Kentucky, which is completely different sounding than either one of those.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, Hey Kentucky, early on, I think we had a little more of that alt country twangy kind of side to us. And that's still present even now. I mean, a song like on the new record, we've got Zipper Merge, which is definitely in that vein. But yeah, Hey Kentucky's just, it could almost be like an Uncle Tupelo song or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's got a bit of a cowpunk feel to it. And yeah, we still play that pretty regularly. That's a fun one. Yeah.
Well, that's Troy and I were talking. I said it's that Americana sound, that pop kind of it. But you guys do so many different genres of stuff. I think nothing's the same, which is great for me because it keeps it all exciting to listen to. And I like finding new stuff. When I fall down the rabbit hole of music, yours is one that you can there's all different kinds of things to find. So it makes it fun.
Well, thanks, man. I mean, I really appreciate that. To be honest with you, it's a bit of an identity crisis. It's a bit of a blessing and a curse. Sometimes it works for us and sometimes it works against us. Because we can, having that sort of diversity between like the Americana stuff, the more punky stuff, we've got a rockabilly side for sure. And that allows us to fit in really well on just about any bill in any room and whatever. But it also can work against us if we're trying to get in somewhere, we're trying to book shows and the promoter hears the wrong song, we've had like more Americana leaning places who've heard Put You on Hold and they're like, well, you're not the right band for this. And I'm like, look, we can kind of work around, we can fit in just about anywhere. So, but a lot of people do appreciate that diversity because a lot of bands maybe don't have that wide of a spectrum,
Right.
I went in with the pretense of, in 2000, I formed a band called the Off Ramps and I went in, I'm just like, this is going to be an alt country band. I was way into like all that stuff at the time. Wilco was just kind of kicking off and Sunvolt and Bottle Rockets and
Uncle
old 90s.
Tupelo.
And I was way into all that stuff. I'm like, well, I want to, let's do this alt country band. And it just completely was not that, it was very rock and power pop and stuff. And I realized then that I just write the songs, whatever, mix it up and don't try to have this preconceived notion of what you're going to be. It's like, I don't have that much control over my songwriting to dictate it to that level.
Where the muse takes you,
Yeah, exactly.
Takes you.
Exactly. And, like I think the Americana, the rootsy stuff it's becoming a little bit less of where we're going, but it's still there. We still have that kind of stuff. And I don't I can't imagine doing a record where there's nothing like that on there, you know?
Right.
Well, it's part of the foundation, I think, too. And now, Jeremy, I may be totally off base here, but I hear a lot of Chris Bell. I don't know if you guys know who Chris Bell is. He was, I hear a lot of
Sure,
Chris Bell
yeah.
in your stuff.
Yeah, you know, I mean, to be honest with you, I'm definitely more of an Alex Chilton guy when it comes to Big Star. You know, I love number one record, Radio City. You know, I struggle a little bit with Big Star's third.
I do too. I do
it's-
too, to be honest with you. I do too.
To be honest with you, I struggle a bit with the production of Radio City. You know, I love the songs. I think it's great, but I mean, number one record to me is a masterpiece. You
It
know?
really is. It really is.
Mhm. But I like Chris Bell, but if you're going to ask me where my Big Star allegiances lie, you know, it would be, you know, September Girls, Ballad of El Goodo, stuff like that, you know. But I like that stuff. I have that I Am the Cosmos record, and I'm certainly familiar with his stuff. Sure.
Yeah. Well, I guess there's just parts. Of course, I may have been influenced because I did listen a couple of days ago to your cover of Ballad of El Goodo. Anyway.
Oh yeah,
so, yeah. Jeremy, tell us a little bit about the Tiny Desk concert. Were you just doing some demos for Tiny Desk, or how did that come about?
Well, Tiny Desk that's a thing that NPR does every year, and it's sort of I guess a competition where it's like, you know, you submit a video of an original song, and I think the only rules are it has to be an original song, and you have to have a desk in the video. And they have and then there's like they have like bigger bands like Taylor Swift will come in and do one or whatever, and she's not necessarily part of like the voting, but it generates hype around it and stuff.
Right.
But I'm not a big fan of competitions, you know, enter this songwriting competition or this battle of the bands. Like, we generally don't do stuff like that, but the NPR thing is cool because it always seems to come at a time of year when things are kind of quiet for us, and it just gives us a chance to do something and put something out there in a time when normally we would be in a writing mode or something like that. So, you know, this last one we did was for the song October Girls, which was on the Candy Coated Cannonball record, but it was just me. It was just electric guitar and vocals. And I just thought, well, why, you know, we got this new bass player, Jake, who's fantastic. And he's also plays stand-up bass, right? Huh. And I'm like, well, why don't we work this out with the stand-up bass? And, you know, we'll just have Gabe play like some cymbals and maybe a little bit of really sparse snare. And, you know, and we just set up in our friend's you know, 19th century apartment in Detroit and just kind of went for it, you know. So it was a pretty loose thing. We didn't put a whole lot of thought behind it, and it's just kind of an excuse to get something out there.
Oh, it's amazing though.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Well, thanks, man. Thanks. Yeah. I mean, Jake really makes it with that bass. I mean, that he's, you know, he'll tell you he's not very good and everything. He's only been playing that thing for a few months, but
wow.
When we brought him on in December of last year, I was like, you know, I mean, he you know, obviously he's still playing the Fender P bass on stage, but I was like, this is an opportunity, you know, having this guy who can play this stand up, and, you know, you'll be hearing more of that, you know.
Well, stand up has that percussive feel that, you know, there's to me, a different tone and feel with the stand up bass, you know.
Yeah.
I noticed the drummer. What's your drummer's name?
Gabriel. Yep.
Gabriel. Yeah. Gabriel plays Ludwig's. Craig and I are both drummers. So
oh yeah. Yeah, he does. Yep.
We're gearheads. Jeremy, again, just to dive into the gear wormhole real fast. I don't know if you're into it or not, but
totally. Totally.
What are you playing right now? Usually on stage, or, you know, of course, when you're on stage and touring, you're not going to bring your best guitar out.
Sure. Well, you know, it's, as far as guitars go, I'm a big advocate of Reverend Guitars.
Okay.
And that's a company that was founded in the Detroit area by Joe Naylor, and a good friend of mine, Ken Haas, helps to run that company. Basically runs a company, and they've since moved to the Toledo area. But Ken Ken was bugging me for Ken and I go way back to the 80s. And Ken's been bugging me forever. You got to try one of these. You got to try one of these. So finally, I just went over there and picked one up, and hollow body, kind of like a Gretsch model, the Pete Anderson signature model. And I was just like, all right, I'll get Ken off my back. I'll have something cool to use in the studio. And within about 3 weeks, it was like my number one guitar,
Wow.
and then I went and got another one. So so I've got two of those Reverend Pete Anderson hollow bodies. One of them's tuned to open E flat, and the other one's tuned standard. And then I've got a Gibson Gold Top Les Paul 1960s reissue that
Sweet.
that my wife got me for my birthday a couple years ago. And so those are my three guitars that I usually take on the road. And then for amps, I have a Matchless Chieftain head. So Matchless is a boutique. I don't know if you guys know Matchless, but that's a boutique amp company out of California. And this is one of the ones from the 90s. They call it the Samson era, when the original owner was there and helped design all that stuff. And the thing, it's a bit of a pain in the ass to keep it up and running. It burns hot. It goes through tubes and everything, but it's really pretty magic. So I'll usually run that with a 212 or a 412 or sometimes even a 112, depending on the room. And then I'll pair that with I've got a Fender Deluxe Reverb that was a limited edition Sweetwater release with what they call the Rivera mod. So Rivera is this guy who took Fender amps in the 70s, and he basically I don't know if I'm getting too geeky for you guys.
No,
here.
love it. No, not at all.
So he basically took the vibrato channel off of the Fender Deluxe Reverb and put it on the back panel, and then he put like a fat knob on it where you could kind of adjust the tone. So you've got the left channel, which is like a standard blackface Fender Deluxe Fender, and then the right one is actually with the Rivera mod, where you can actually get some dirt out of it. So, and I never really run clean tone live. It's always, it's dirtier, or really dirty. And even for like the country stuff, I still like to have a little bit of grit in there. So I'll run the Fender and the Matchless in stereo together. And that's basically my rig. I mean, I've got a small pedal board. I've got like 5 pedals, just like, I love the Spaceman pedals out of the Pacific Northwest. I've got a couple of
those are handmade, if I'm not mistaken, Jeremy.
They are, yeah. And they're pricey, but they're great, and their customer service is great. I mean, one time we were in Toronto, and I was having a trouble with one of the jacks on one of my tuners, and I was fixing it on the bar before the show. I had like some needle nose players out, and Gabe took a picture out of it, and we posted it on Instagram, and we tagged them, and they messaged me, and they're like, dude, send us that pedal, we'll fix it for you. So they're great. And I love Earthquaker out of Ohio. I use some of their stuff, and that's basically my live rig. But it's a balance between, obviously tone is super important to me, but you also got to have stuff that can get banged around in the back of the van. Right. I mean, I can't imagine touring with like some delicate, like vintage instruments or something. Right. And those Reverends really seem to stand up well. And I've got a really nice road case for the Les Paul, and that's so. I really need stuff that you can just pull out of the bag and it just works.
Sure.
And
Don't have to worry about it. Yes.
I can't be dealing with things breaking down on tour. It's just not an option. So it's always that balance, and it still happens. It still happens. But all that stuff's been super great, and I can't say enough about Reverend Guitars. I mean, it's I'm a featured artist for them. And I really stand by their guitars. They're affordable. They're really well made. They're a Midwestern company, and great people. Just I love.
Well, we'll reach out to them. Actually, we'll reach out, and we'll throw them on our page. And just
free
publicity.
I'll send you that guy's information, Ken, he's a great guy. I'm sure he'd love to talk to you guys, and
Awesome.
they're always grateful to help get the word out, and they're just doing real well. Yeah, they've got a great reputation, and it's really cool.
Good.
Jeremy, how many, like on a regular year, not the past two, how many dates do you do per year? Usually, are you doing like 250? I mean, are you just
No. I mean, usually it's somewhere in the range of 40 to 50. Okay. Which I always say for dudes with jobs, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah, I mean, this year, coming off of COVID, I mean, last year I did a lot of solo stuff because a lot of bands or a lot of venues,
Yeah.
they weren't opening up to the full rock show.
Right.
A lot of venues started doing a lot of acoustic stuff first. And I did a couple acoustic runs, and then I went on tour with this band from Lansing called the Wild Honey Collective, who you guys might be interested in. They're more of a folky kind of Laurel Canyon, Burrito Brothers type of thing, really, really, really good players though, and really good songs, mostly original stuff. And I went on tour with them, opening up for them and then sitting in with them on lap steel and stuff. So last year, I want to say I did 35 shows, but this year my goal was just to go full out and shoot for 50. And I think we're on pace to hit that or pretty close.
Yeah. Cool.
So, yeah, it seems like a lot.
Well, Jeremy, are you heading south? Or are you heading west? I mean, or which way are you going in the next couple months?
We are, yeah. So our fall tour is going to be announced on Friday, and it's I think it's 21, 22 shows, but we're doing a festival here in Detroit on Friday, which is technically kind of where we're calling that the start of the fall tour. It's the Hamtramck Music Fest. And then we're going to do Lansing at the end of the month, and that's going to be a release for our new 7-inch.
Oh,
And it's also, we're playing with a band from Lansing called A Rueful Noise, it's also the release for their 7-inch
wow.
on the same record label on GTG Records, and I produced that.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, I produced that 7-inch, and Gabriel engineered it out of his home studio.
Wow.
So that's got the Tucos kind of feel all over it. And then then we're doing Canada for the first time since 2019 in September. And then we're gonna do a short run out west to like Iowa, and we're doing Indy in September.
Please let us know about the indie show, because that's in driving distance for us.
Yeah, we're gonna do the Melody Inn.
Oh yeah, we love the Melody Inn.
Yeah, that's on the 22nd. Yeah, so I'll make sure you guys know about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be great to see you guys. And Iowa City, and then we're going up somewhere in Wisconsin. And then in October we're going down south. We're doing a longer run. We're gonna hit Maryland for the first time, and then we're gonna take it right down through Virginia, North Carolina, Alabama, Mississippi, and then we're gonna come back up through. Are you guys close to like St. Louis? Like
Yeah.
Marion. Do you know Marion, Illinois?
It's out in the outskirts. It's close to East St. Louis, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's probably a good hour out, I think. But we're doing that, and then we're gonna hit Kentucky on our way home. And then in November, we're doing we're going to get back down to Knoxville, which is one of our favorite places.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll be hitting Ohio and West Virginia probably on that.
Pretty good run.
Yeah, it's a pretty good run, and I'm sure a couple more things are going to pop up, probably like one-offs and more localish type of stuff. But that's where it stands at the moment.
Jeremy, how is it GT Records? How would people find out about the 7-inches and where to order them, where to get them?
Well, we're gonna do a big full out. I don't know when this is gonna air, but we're gonna do a big full out announcement on Friday of this week, and it's gonna have all the links for the pre-order. We're also gonna announce the tour, and it's gonna be all over. We've got a few websites who are going to help premiere it. Certainly our website, thetucos.com, gtgrecords.com, is always a good place to go, and all of our social media, all that stuff is out there. It's not too hard to find, but if you're ever looking, I mean, the Tucos.com or any of our socials are a great place to start.
Okay. Talking about rock docs, start of our conversation, for those of you just tuned in, we were talking about rock docs, and Jeremy and Craig and I are just fanatics about it. Have you, what's your opinion of Get Back? Have you watched it yet?
I did watch it. Yeah. It's funny, like being in a band, you watch that and you're just like, yeah, this is what it's like, and it's kind of brutal, and I was like, I enjoyed it. I love the Beatles and I enjoyed it, but I was glad when it was over. I mean, I live that, I live like arguing over how long a bridge should be, or, what should we do for that intro? I live that, and I get it and I love it because it's the Beatles and everything, but I was glad when it was over. It's funny because I struggle to see how someone who's not in a band would really like that.
That's exactly what we said, that if you're in a band, you get it and it all makes sense. But if not, I think it is kind of harder to watch.
It's funny, you remember that movie Office Space?
Oh
yeah. So, my wife, she had a kind of one of those jobs for a while, and she, and I did too for a while, and that cubicle life, and I was just like, I get the humor, but it's just, that's not something that that is in no way escapism for me,
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
And it was kind of like that, where it's like, okay, this is, I get it, but this is kind of like watching one of my own practices.
Right.
But I love the Beatles, and I never get tired of the Beatles. And over the pandemic, we really, in this house, we really listened to a lot of music. We bought a lot of records, and we went through a pretty, there were a few things we discovered, but we also dug back into the Beatles pretty hard, and we went through a pretty serious Beatles thing. So it was cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, have you guys seen the new Stones? It's segments of the new Stones documentary.
I have not.
Which one now?
It came out like 2 weeks ago, and it's like Mick. There's a segment on Mick, segment on Keith.
Oh, I've not seen it.
I don't get that channel, man. It's like,
no, I haven't seen it either. There's been clips on YouTube, but
I heard about it. Yeah, there's 5 episodes, and each one's about each one of the guys, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I heard about it. I actually just heard about it today, oddly, but I don't get that channel, so I'm going to have to. I'm a huge Keith Richards fan, like huge, and I mean those, like Beggar's Banquet through Exile for me is just possibly the greatest run ever in rock and roll, and
Exile's got to be one of my favorite Stones albums.
Oh, me too. Yeah. Desert Island Disc for sure. Yeah, for sure.
More than Sticky Fingers.
Yeah.
More than Some Girls. I mean, more than Aftermath.
I mean, for me, Let It Bleed would probably be a close second. Gun to my head, it's probably Exile, but Let It Bleed for me is pretty sacred too.
Yeah.
But
Craig?
no, I gotta see that. Yeah.
Oh, it's all the blues covers for me. I like the
Okay, Lonesome in Blue.
Yeah.
Well, that was good though. Yeah.
That was great for a late career album. That was it was real, and heartfelt.
Very raw. It was very unexpected and raw and cool. Yep.
Well, Jeremy, I want to thank you for hanging out with us. We've taken up almost 40 minutes of your time. I appreciate it.
Oh man, thanks for having me. Yeah.
We appreciate you coming on and hanging out with us though.
Yeah. When